welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
There we are. We are live with the Trinity Force Podcast. It is Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you're not here in the Twitch chat, you're obviously listening on the MP3 or on YouTube, but we would love to have you every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time because we are affiliated with Twitch, which means now we have a subscribe button. So if you'd like to subscribe to us...
I subscribed, Pone.
Punch subscribe.
Was that the first?
He did it, and now he's going to subscribe to my vein.
Where's my goddamn... No, that's not going to happen. Where are my emotes?
We haven't made it yet, but we're going to make some.
We made enough emotes in the Slack chat, which were funny enough that those definitely don't need to be in Twitch.
We're gonna make a. There's definitely going to be a T-Force icon. So if you would like to subscribe, it is $5 a month. You can use your Twitch Prime subscription or your Amazon Prime, however you want to look at it. I think it's called Twitch Prime, to do it as well. And it would be fantastic if you'd love to support us through that. We would just take 1 month or 2 or 12. We don't care. But we go live every Monday and Wednesday as well. Another way to support us is to go check out BuddhaBoxers.com, B-U-D-D-H-A Boxers.com. Use code TrinityForce for 20% off. These are very, very comfortable boxers with gamers in mind. Not specifically sold to gamers, but they're trying to break into the gaming market as a lot of us sit in our chair all day and we may get uncomfortable. I know if I wear store-bought underwear, I get very uncomfortable by the end of the day. And these... feel like you're wearing nothing at all, and that's fantastic. They wick away the sweat. They do a very good job of keeping you cool. And they just do a really good job of being underwear. And I don't know how else to explain it to people that if you've never purchased premium underwear before and never worn a pair, it is worth trying for the 20% off code because you can get it for $18 shipped. You can get a pair to you. For those of you that don't watch live, again, Buddha, wait. Let me just tell everybody real quick, just one, B-U-D-D-H-A, Boxers.com, code TrinityForce, all lowercase, one word for 20% off. Every single time I do an intro, no matter what it is, Mitch cracks up laughing, as if I don't do a good enough job or I make him laugh because I say something silly.
It's the sentence you said of it does a really good job of being underwear, which is like, I mean, come on, it's the funniest goddamn thing. It's like
laughing at that or at me and Mitch.
That's fine. You guys can laugh at my plugs. I'm all for it.
It just reminds me of like the Family Guy bit where he's at the book club. He's like, it can also be used as a hat. It's like, what else are you using this underwear for?
Well, it is recyclable, so you could help say you could use it to help save the planet. But that's enough talk about underwear. Buddha Boxers.
Yeah, let's talk about honor because I know that's all we're talking about today is the new honor system, right?
Honor system. Yep. Let's do it.
Not talking about it. Not even least bit. If you care about the honor system and you care about all that shit, you can go read it on your own. I don't give a fuck about the honor system. We're not here.
You get more key fragments.
We're here to make you better people. So if you're gonna do an honor, go honor people. Be a good person. That's all you have to do. Go be a fucking good person, and you'll get honor.
Well, that was that section done.
Done. That's all that matters. Just go be a good person. Let's talk about the champions and whatnot that I updated. We don't have a document tonight, so we're gonna go down the list and try our best to hit it in order that we normally do. Starting with Galio, who has been generally a flex pick in pro play and a pick that has been the scourge of solo queue for quite some time. He's eaten a couple nerfs the last couple patches, and this patch is no exception. As his Q wins a war, the tornado zone damage has been decreased by 15 damage, 15, 20, what is that, 25, etc. Throughout the ranks,
but it gets a little bit of a AP buff, AP ratio buff because they don't want people getting the free damage when you can just build tanky and do a surprising amount of damage with all that percent. The percentage max health damage isn't getting nerfed, so I think that's kind of the big. It's just getting rid of the base, which I think is smart.
Right, you could build straight tank and then still clear the ranged minions with this, which is kind of a problem. You have to heavily invest into AP to do the same thing now. I think you need 200 AP.
Yeah, which kind of makes me wonder what they really want Galio to be doing anymore.
I mean,
if he's not wave clearing well, he's taking more damage across the board and everything. Like, what is Galio? Cross map initiation, I guess, but even then, Shen's doing that type of shit better, isn't he?
What's the difference between like having? What's the difference between like having? I mean, the fact that you could have like a 10 second Sorry, good.
That's not really that uncharacteristic for like a tank like Galio to not be able to clear a wave with just one ability. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna do 80% or whatever, and then maybe have to just last it each minion afterwards or something. Like
Or
maybe
use
you
his
have to.
passive.
I suppose he has
attack now.
his passive, but
I mean, it's not really that big a deal. Yeah, exactly. Like the passive. Like I mean, I don't see any of this as being a significant change, to be honest. Like the base armor down is just okay. So he's a little bit more in line with other melees, and his wave clear. So he's just like slightly less safe, and that's it.
Well,
I mean, it's really like I think is yet to be seen how much this is really going to change the game.
it's a pretty significant change for pro play. You're losing 3-year base armor as well, which we didn't talk about, and the fact that Q, even with points in it now, can't clear the back line as easily as he did before. You can't flex him top mid support as easily because he can't he can't do what you put him mid because he's really tanky, he does a lot of damage, and he can clear waves really fast, and now he can't do that as easily, so it's harder to justify using him as a flex pick. So I can see in pro play this being the nerf that knocks him out of contention.
I'm kind of bummed that they sort of pigeonholed him or like really lasered in on him as a top laner. I thought it was really cool that this champion came out and he could be played everywhere except for AD carry. Yeah, that means he was heavily overtuned and that type of stuff, but I kind of wish there were a few more champions out there that had that type of flexibility to them.
I mean, you could still play him. I think you could still probably play him as a support. He's still a very good peeler. I think mid lane, maybe where he suffers the most, if you're using him for wave clear, then you need to get it from somewhere else now. Because you won't be able to wave clear and keep your base safe by himself.
I think you end up losing the top lane more because you can't wave clear and then be able to like ult into. I guess that could be the same for mid, where you will still get enough AP, I think, to clear those. But like top, where you'd be able to wave clear and then immediately start moving towards getting in range for your ultimate.
I was thinking that if he's played top though, and yeah, I guess if you're playing like a split push Galio or Galio somewhere else and purposely so that you can ult back to his team, that's a problem. But you still have your mid laner, presumably a mage that can wave clear for you when you're being sieged.
I'm pretty sure top Galio will still be able to get his ults off. I mean, at 0.25 more seconds isn't really anything.
It's not. It's the same time. It doesn't really. It's the same travel time.
Yeah,
And
the travel time is the
takes
same, but it takes him longer to get up in the air and get out of the lane. And a quarter of a second can be, I mean, that's a pretty significant change.
No, it's the quarter of a second more to be CC'd before you jump. That's
Right.
all it is. It's not longer to get there overall.
And I mean, like, he is going to be wave clearing slightly slower, so I guess like how quickly he can roam from the lane might be slowed down like a small amount. But when you look at other tanks like Shen, who does like the same thing, like, you know what I mean? He ults out of lane when he can. I mean, Shen's wave clear isn't better than Galio's. Like, definitely not.
No, but everything else he's doing at this point.
Yeah, but
I'd say Galio's peel is better.
Well, my point is just that if Shen can teleport out of lane safely with his wave clear, Galio will still be able to do it with his as well.
Shen is picking up a Titanic Hydra though, which Galio is not, and that helps Shen out a lot.
Well, he needs to, otherwise he has no wave clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Shen has a literal global ult, and Galio's is not. So there is a significant difference between the champions. So yeah, I think we spent enough time on Galio there. Again, I feel this is more of a nerf to pro play than anything else, but it leaves to be seen. Gnar, who is already seeing pro play as it is as a counter to Renekton. And
Is he?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's been seeing pro play.
I'm not. The same thing happened last year.
Oh my god, I'm flexing top every time now. Gnar's my baby up top.
Making Gnar even more scary as Boomerang Throw, the base damage, this is the mini Boomerang Throw, so the mini Q. The base damage has been increased. It stays the same at ranked 1, but goes up to 45, 85, 125, 165. So in the mid-game, you get a significant amount more damage with 20 more. And then Mega Crunch's E, the range has been increased to 600 from 475.
fuck yes, 2 straight buffs to Gnar. Like I'm so like Corki's coming back, Gnar's coming back. What am I supposed to do? I have too many champions that I want to play.
It's the season
again.
of Mitch.
Play Karthus.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like these changes are like 4 patches too late. He's in a fine spot already, and this might push him like way back into the top.
Oh yeah, this pushes him over.
Yeah,
I don't think
Gnar is with a new ban. I think for me.
I don't think the boomerang damage is really that important, or is that huge. The majority of his damage is coming from auto attacks and his W, and you're not gaining that maximum 40 damage increase until level 7, which your lane opponent is probably going to have backed by then, and they're probably getting an early Ninja Tabby, getting some armor to cut that extra damage out even more. So yeah, it sucks to lane against Gnar that has more damage than Boomerang Throw now, but I don't think it's overbearing.
I think it's actually like, I think that's pretty
16% more damage.
Well, considering you're getting like people that are hitting Boomerang, obviously is going to be better than people that aren't, but that also gives you a stack of your W every time you hit that. So you're getting like you're more incentivized, obviously, to get the more damage in. I think it's going to be like the more annoying Teemo, I think, that can do more things. Okay, shouldn't say that. No one's as annoying as Teemo, but like the range increase on E2, I think, is really, really nice because it's a very short hop. Like you have to pretty much either jump as you're transform, like do the hop as a Mini Gnar, and do the double jump to as you transform to really get any range as Mega Gnar.
Which is really hard to do.
It's to
get an optimal timing. I mean, yeah, once you've played Gnar for a while, you know how to use E bounce and transform. But to get to time it up exactly to where you want to jump into the enemy team, transform and ultimate, like there's not a lot of windows to do that.
That's true. But yeah, getting another 125 like on that jump is pretty nice. I think
it's amazing. That's all there is to it. It is amazing.
Yeah, that's a huge buff, honestly. I think the E range is really the big deal.
It is, absolutely. Let's talk about Trundle, other top laner in this patch. Trundle can now chomp turrets once again. And the attack following chomp now has more consistent timing and scales better with attack speed, making it less clunky to use. As well as they're buffing Frozen Domain so that it heals for an extra 5% rather than, so it's 25% rather than 20%.
So that chomp change is actually, that chomp change is actually pretty nice. Because you're kind of getting more attack speed for that follow-up attack after chomp kind of for free. Because so what was happening before is you would chomp and the attack would come out so quickly that the following attack would seem like it was coming out slower than it actually is. It's really the same timing in between attacks, but the damage from chomp comes out faster. So there seems to be a delay between chomp and the attack afterwards. But so now they're just making that follow-up attack happen sooner. So they're kind of like giving attack speed, which is going to help out a lot in his trades and lane.
Smoothing out attack animations. Right. I think this is Trundle is one of those where he gets buffed now. It's one of those where you kind of stick it into your pocket and go, all right, Trundle is set to come back at some point. We just need the top lane to change a bit.
Matchups. He needs
gets up here.
Better matchups. I mean, you guys were talking about Trundle matchups earlier, where I guess he's losing to Renekton now, which, I mean, traditionally, Trundle has been a good pick into Renekton and Darius. So if he's losing those matchups, something is wrong.
To be honest, I kind of feel like this change sort of is aimed at making him better at the current matchups. So, like, the current is, like the Fioras and the Renektons and the people like that. They all split push really well.
Kennen, Rumble.
And they all, for the most part, they all split push pretty well. And I think Trundle's split pushing was kind of weak after they took this away from him in the past. So by adding this back, they kind of bring his split pushing back up to par a little bit with the current roster. It doesn't make them winning matchups, but at least if he gets ahead, he might be able to split push as well as they would have been able to.
It unquestionably helps him out support. Frankly, that regen change might be the bigger thing down there.
Yeah, I guess support.
So you pop a potion and then you while you're in frozen domain and you're recovering more, or you didn't have that running because it was just like a quick in and out skirmish type thing and you ate a bunch of poke, but hey, that's fine. You can throw frozen domain down and recover a shit ton of extra health through your just your potion that was running.
And water dragon, spirit visage.
Yeah, water dragon, all that type of stuff and everything. And then we're reality is that we're kind of in or entering a tank support meta anyway, and Trundle was always a good counter pick in those. So,
right. That's why I say kind of keep Trundle here. I don't know if it throws Trundle to the forefront, but I think that's that weird pocket pick.
Don't forget him.
Yeah, just don't forget that he's there.
Yeah, shave the rest off and just keep him in your pocket if you need to break it out.
Yeah, he's getting back up there though. I think we're walking into some tanks, and so we could definitely see some Trundle support coming in to counter that. Well, actually, I think I have one more. It's a top ADC change here, but we'll talk about Kennen. If you have been watching the LCS at all, ever, you have noticed that Kennen has been flexed between ADC and top lane. Primarily played on the top, but if your name is Reckless.
If your name is Reckless, then you're playing of ADC and crushing everybody because you're just better.
Right.
Or Gambit, I feel like, did it a long time ago, too.
So
but right now, I mean, it's Reckless playing Kennen ADC, and then a couple imitators are trying to do it and failing, and then otherwise Kennen's always out of top lane.
There is some... Yeah, there's the big change with him here goes into Electrical Surge. So the empowered attack bonus damage was based off of total attack damage. It is now flat scaling off of bonus attack damage with an ability power ratio of 0.3. So previously it was 0.4, 0.5 up to 0.8 total attack damage is now 15 to 35 with a 0.6 bonus attack damage ratio. Now that may seem all quaint and dandy, but Electrical Surge now stacks when Kennen fires a basic attack instead of on hit, meaning that Hurricane no longer stacks multiple stacks of Electrical Surge.
That might be the bigger nerf.
Right.
That's a huge nerf. Lancifer's got to love this because it means hey, AP Kennen is better, and now I'm not going to see any of these fucking AD attack speed Kennens going on and everything. But yeah, not being able to just pump out all of those bonus empowered auto attacks is a huge.
And stacking
huge
your stun faster, yeah, that's a problem.
I gotta imagine he's still being played. Maybe not in pro play as much, but I gotta imagine he's still being played as attack speed AD. Because you don't necessarily need Runan's Hurricane to do what he does. Because a lot of times he could go, like Frozen Mallet early and still do really well at split pushing. He can do Frozen Mallet. He can even pick up Wit's End. We've seen that. Blade of the Ruin King works well on him as well. And there's another handful of items that work. It just dials back his power significantly, and that's what he needed. Right, if he's at a 56% win rate, which he's not against other top laners, it dials him back at least a couple percent, and it brings it easier to counterplay into the mid game.
I mean, one day a sample though, but his win rate just took a nosedive.
Sure.
It's already so. We'll see how long that lasts, but as people figure it out again,
is that people buying Runans though? What? This doesn't work anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
one day a sample time with a patch.
Runan's is not the better build right now. It looks like ability power is crushing it, but then you're seeing a lot of both builds right now as people just sort of try to figure him out.
Lightning Rush ratio has gone up to 0.8 ability power as well to try to push him more toward that AP build where they want him to be, I guess.
Todd, are you happy?
I don't really know if he needed that buff to Lightning Rush. I think they accomplished what they were trying to accomplish with the nerf to Electrical Surge. I think if anything, this is just going to make him less dominant in one role, more dominant in another.
What role?
Mid lane Kennen again?
Mid Kennen or top AP Kennen? Or
well, I guess you would see top Kennen. Honestly, I think top AP Kennen is pretty good. I don't know. When he's strong, he tends to be strong top lane. So
I could see. This one. I'm sure this is one of those knee-jerk things where the win rate plummets and people finally figure it out. I'm glad to see the change. I just it depends who you ask. I'm going to say that depends who you ask how bad this nerf is.
I wonder how many people are
probably crying.
I wonder how much of that win rate plummet is people still buying Hurricane and didn't realize that it doesn't apply anymore, like just instinctively still buying it.
That's what I said.
Yeah, Punch said that like
Whoops, zoned
3
out.
minutes ago.
Mitch
Sorry,
doesn't
guys.
listen to me.
Let's talk about more top laners. Poppy getting a change in this patch. Hammer Shock. The target does 8% of target's maximum health instead of 7.
All right.
Yeah, this is
Great.
a small change. This doesn't really do a whole lot. I think what it does is since overall health went down in the last few patches, I think this allows Poppy to still deal noticeable damage to people, even though their overall health pools are lower. I think that's what they're trying to accomplish with this.
It's one step forward for Fighter Poppy. Bring it back, right? Bring back Fighter Poppy.
Well, why don't we roll into the jungle now? Because
she's a fun champ to play.
the jungle landscape is pretty even right now. If you like go look at Champion GG, the majority of champions are sitting at 50%. If your name's not Nunu, you're practically sitting at 50% win ratio right now. And that just, that it's a healthy jungle. You can play whatever you want and get away with it. No big deal. So they're just hitting some of those champions that they feel, I guess the Riot feels are a little powerful. Why aren't you touching Fiora? I know she's top lane, but still. We'll talk about Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix getting a change in this patch. His base damage of Q Taste the Fear is going down from, it was 70 to 170, now 60 to 160. The ratio is 1.1 bonus attack damage, but the isolation bonus is increasing to 65%. Slowing his jungle clear down a bit, but increasing dueling potential. I guess forcing him to roll to
Does it really slow down his jungle clear that much when you already have like isolation on most every camp except for wolves and
right.
I guess
It slows it down by a second.
Krugs.
It hardly does anything.
Raptors.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like that's not that big of a change for. I understand the switching power towards you get more from your isolation, but I don't know. I guess it could slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think this really pushes Kha'Zix anywhere, right? They take base damage away, but they push it toward isolation, and a lot of Kha'Zix's power was coming in and invading and meeting the enemy jungler anywhere and kind of dueling them, and this just gives him more power to duel the enemy jungler at any point in time, or even do those.
I mean, we've talked a lot about efficiency while clearing camps and everything, and taking 10 damage off of that could mean 1 or 2 more auto attacks that you end up taking. Like even if it's just 1 per camp, that's actually a big amount of additional damage that you're taking. And so he might be better if he turns around and he goes and invades or ganks or something, but he's also like a lot more likely to pay for it himself too.
And probably, I gotta imagine you don't notice it though.
I think the Q change is mostly because of the R change.
Sure.
So they're making his stealth a lot better. They're just making it longer and giving him like more time to choose when he goes in. So because he has longer to choose when he gets to go in, they're forcing him to make sure that he gets the isolation bonus when he does. Otherwise, he's going to be significantly less impactful.
And I don't know if anybody watched it. Like the way this works is that if you're invisible and you go into brush, then it sort of resets that invisibility. And then once you go
only when evolved.
For 3 seconds now, yeah, if it's evolved, for 3 seconds, and then you stay invisible for another 1.5 seconds after leaving. And so if you're really creative about your pathing, you can use his invisibility stealth like really far away and then sneak past just a bunch of wards totally undetected because you're using brush, and then like just show up out of nowhere and nobody will, and totally surprise your opponent, which is really cool, but you have to work hard to do it. And I'm glad, I guess, that they're lessening that element. I'm going to eat those words because now we're going to see Kha'Zix showing up all over the fucking place and murdering, me. But I think that's a really cool part of his kit, and so I like to see them, looking at it and doing some stuff with it. And fine, make Q pay for it.
Well, if you're increasing isolation bonus damage and Q Taste the Fear, right? You're still evolving. I think you're evolving Q before anything else at that point, because you're increasing the overall damage that he's doing and evolving.
Aren't you already?
Damage. Yeah, but I'm saying like right now people are evolving Q, E, and then depending on the game, I guess W or R.
I don't think they ever evolve R.
Yeah, that's the idea.
I'm not trying to think.
Trying to give a reason.
I see W be evolved more than I ever see R being evolved because of the AoE damage in heal.
Yeah, the only time R was ever really like impactful is when it gave damage reduction when it was evolved, which it was like then a second or like it was every game you had to have it just because you'd get so much damage reduction.
I know when Kha'Zix first got reworked, we talked about him a bit. I was on the hype train of evolving R because I saw, you know, like the jungle pathing that you can do with it, but it just turns out, you know, that those were really just cheese factors rather than being practical as people learned how to play against the champion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key point is like that's never really going to be the practical way to play him. There are going to be some Kha'Zix one tricks out there who really enjoy this, but I think the majority of the player base is just not going to want to invest the effort that it would take to really do that part of his kit well and use it properly. So, yeah, I guess you're right. It's still Q max or Q evolve.
Let's talk about Kindred. They have received a buff ever since they got reworked. Passive Mark of Kindred. Kindred's basic attacks and Mounting Dread gain 75 range at 4 stacks plus 25 range every 3 stacks thereafter. Wolf's Frenzy is up to 1% current health rather than 0.5, and Mounting Dread base damage has been increased from 40 to 120. It is now 60 to 140. So with this change going the way it is, she's still got a bunch of other issues. She's still clearing really slowly. She's still not coming healthy out of the jungle. It's still hard for her to pick up stacks, and she's too reliant on that passive to be able to do extra damage now, especially when you get that attack speed off of the Q bounces. And bless you, Dom.
Sorry.
So people were maxing Q with an E, and I'm sure you're still doing that because even 1% of the current health, additional damage per mark of Wolf's Frenzy, you're still not maxing W because you're just getting that natively through marks. It's just kind of like thanks for the buffs, but does this push?
Well, I don't know, because I mean, we were reading about them saying, or about Kindred main saying, you know what, E might be the way to go, and now that that's getting kind of a meaningful buff, and more people pick up on the fact that like maxing E is what they should be doing.
They were still maxing E second though; they weren't maxing E first, because the Q bonus damage was still significant.
I don't know. With E being the much more important spell now and it getting a base damage buff, I can see this being a real meaningful change.
I want Kindred to be good. I love Kindred.
I don't want them to be good, so
I
mean, I want them to be good because Santana plays them, but otherwise, like, no, I don't want to. I don't like it when Kindred's good.
Yeah, I'm with Dom.
To play around.
I don't think Kindred's ult is cool. I think that ult sucks. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Garen hates that ult.
It's a push in the right direction. If this doesn't push her over the edge or them over the edge, just a little more will. It's hard to say with the jungle landscape being as equal as it is. I think you just have to work extra hard on Kindred to get them to work unlike other champions, and that's what really turns me away from wanting to play them.
I appreciate they're taking like very measured steps with Kindred as opposed to just trying to do really big buffs or something. You know, like overreacting like they did with Zac.
Give me the overreaction and then just nerf her.
No,
we don't need that. That's all right.
Maokai's getting a change in this patch. He's actually getting some buffs rather than some weird support nerfs. His base stats, base health is going up to 565 from 540, and Nature's Grasp range is increasing to 3,000 with the cooldown decreasing to 180 at ranks 2 and 3.
No. Oh, okay.
Yes, okay.
Sounded like you were saying 180. I'm like, nope, it's not a 3-minute cooldown at rank 3.
That's interesting getting like from, and I don't mean a Dom, that's interesting. I mean getting from 60 seconds like max rank with max cooldown on that kind of ultimate that could be really, really good in team fight changing. Down to 48 seconds is pretty, I think it's a pretty big deal. And I mean the extra 500 range is not going to hurt either.
He doesn't have the nightmare durability problem that he had prior to the rework. So at least he'll be killable, but I'm actually pretty worried about these changes. I think this is going to be a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, that it's more the Cinderhulk changes that do anything to Maokai rather than the changes to his. Like I don't like that they go in and they touch these champions, these tank champions that are building items while they're touching the items as well, because it feels like it's too much power given to somebody at once. They're making Cinderhulk cheaper. Like,
wait, is he jungling?
yeah, he's jungling.
Yeah, he's mostly jungling.
Really?
He has a decent win
Okay.
rate. He's like a 51.5% win rate out of the jungle right now.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, I guess he's still getting played out of top lane quite a bit and doing okay, but and being played more out of support than you'd think after all the nerfs.
Yeah.
Cautiously optimistic. I'd like to see Maokai, but like I said, the jungle landscape is so even that you can play him and do well. And if you're doing well, you're going to do better. Hopefully. Shaco is also getting a change on this patch. 2-shift poison is being changed. The base damage has been significantly increased. It was 5 to 125, but there are some changes, yes. It now goes 50 to 150 with a ratio of 0.6 scaling up to 1.2 bonus attack damage rather than total. The damage type is now physical rather than magic, and it now deals up to 50% additional damage based on the target's missing health. It no longer
Instead of
deals damage
missing
based on the
health,
character level.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, this just like puts him. It takes away that old champion that can do a bunch of mixed damage that doesn't really make sense. And kind of, they were saying they're pushing him more towards, I think, building AD. I don't know if this makes him like anything crazy.
I think it's a good buff, honestly. I mean, when the Shaco goes AD build, and he builds Pen, this wasn't scaling off of penetration before, even though it had an AD ratio, because it dealt magic damage. I think that's a big change. It just means he won't fall off as hard as the game goes on later, because his abilities will scale better with his items.
I was looking at a Shaco guide that came out today. It was based on 7.1.12, and everyone was saying not to use 2-shift poison right away and using it for an execute. And I think most players, myself included, was using it the moment they came out of stealth. So this definitely makes it more intuitive to use, because you would think you'd just pop out, blow all your abilities, and hope you're doing damage. You didn't really. It's hard to. It just feels weird that E would be a execute of any type, right?
I wish they'd put like a number on that, because like they don't really explain what based on targets missing health means. That could really be anything, I guess. That just I don't know where the threshold is where you hit that 50% additional damage, because I'd like to at least know. Yeah, well,
when they're dead, that's when you get the 50%.
If you throw E at a dead body, it'll do 50% extra damage probably.
Let me see
did
if
that
the wiki is updated.
Did that Shaco guide talk about item builds at all? I'm wondering if he's already building armor pen, or if he's gonna fit that into his build now, because he was building what, Hydra, warriors, and
it was warrior shit. It was like warrior shiv, infinity edge, etc. like that. Like,
so to clarify Mitch's question, it was active. Shaco throws a dagger at the enemy, slowing them for 3 seconds and dealing physical damage, increased by 0.5% for every 1% of the target's missing health.
So literally it is when they're dead. Great. Okay.
when they're dead.
I have to imagine this does change. Someone asked in chat, this changes build order. I have to imagine this does change his build order slightly, where maybe you're throwing a couple points into Q early and then maxing E after it because of the base damage increase, with it doing more significant damage. Previously, he was maxing Q to be able to get around the map more often, and then you would just use E. Then you would max E after. It's hard to say. I don't know any Shaco mains. I haven't played Shaco, and I don't see him enough to be able to talk about him.
I've heard the same thing, that E might become more of a max now, but again, just like you, I don't play him, and I don't know anybody that plays him.
It probably depends if you're snowballing or not. If you're getting ahead, then taking advantage of the bonus attack damage ratio is probably worth it. But if you're not, then probably maxing it second still is probably still going to be like the safe way to go.
Sure. Yep. That's all I got with that. Let's talk about what other jungler we got here. We talk about Galio, Gnar, Kennen, Kha'Zix, Kindred, Maokai, Poppy, Rek'Sai.
Rammus, he's a jungler.
Rek'Sai.
Rammus, a jungler.
But there's no real Rammus change there.
Right. So Rek'Sai has already been gaining some popularity if you haven't been paying attention to the League of Legends landscape, and they're kind of giving her some buffs in this patch, where Q, spells queued while attacking are handled better. So there you go, she a little quality of life buff. Woohoo. Unburrow, now takes the same time to unburrow whether you press W or attack a target. And the knockback effect for secondary targets no longer lasts slightly longer than intended.
Cool.
Right. The Void Rush now has a 1.85 bonus attack damage ratio rather than a 1.6 bonus attack damage ratio.
They're gonna nerf this. Like they're gonna nerf this in 7.15. That's what's gonna happen.
It does a significant amount of damage right now.
People were just getting hip to the fact that you don't build tank Rek'Sai anymore, and like you're supposed to just go full damage on her. And hey, lo and behold, once people started figuring that component out about the champion, she starts doing a whole lot better. Now they add this huge bonus AD ratio change to it and everything. They're totally going to nerf this.
Is it full damage though?
7.15.
Because I thought tanks were building Warrior, Black Cleaver, or tanks. I thought pros were playing Ward, Black Cleaver, and then into tank. Are they going
kind of the
full
idea?
DPS?
Oh,
she's kind of like Hydra. She's Titanic Hydra warrior type of thing going on here.
Okay.
But she's like that hybrid bruiser type thing going on, right? Where they're building. She's even building what's a Dead Man's Plate.
So she's not building a ton of AD. This isn't like this ratio is kind of small for how much she's building.
But any
still,
any
the Elfman does a lot of damage. And it's doing more now.
Buff that is giving Rek'Sai power when she's already gaining popularity and people are becoming hip to how good she actually is, makes her better. So I am scared.
Yeah, that's.
I think. Yeah, I think if she's all of a sudden becomes really good, I don't think this changes what put her over the top. But I mean, it certainly doesn't.
I'm just surprised.
It's certainly not great timing.
I'm just surprised how much of a rush they're in to try and make her picked every game again. Like, they just changed her. And she was picked every game before that, so.
Yeah, I think that when you get the... if you're concerned about the ratio going up, like, I think you should be more so than maybe it's letting on. Like, at max rank, 400 damage plus 185% bonus AD plus 30% of the target's missing health is your damage amount. And that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like almost better than Garen ult. Like, come on, dude.
Jesus. Xayah, we're talking about the ADCs. Okay, well, let's go back. Okay, Rammus. Rammus's dance moves are now sick because they scale with move speed. There you go. That's the change that Rammus was on here. And that had to be in the champion the whole list. Right, okay. Xayah, double daggers. Her Q attack lockout now scales down with attack speed. Just what this champion needed. A buff.
Can you explain that for the uninitiated with Xayah?
Press Q, be able to auto attack more quickly.
As you get more attack speed.
So last patch they changed it so that when you press Q, you couldn't also auto attack through it, which was getting just so many fucking feathers on the ground. So they introduced this lockout element, which I guess was a fixed amount of time, and now it's like, well, if she's building attack speed, she should be able to reasonably attack faster after that lockout.
Right. Thanks, Dom.
Or the lockout should be shorter.
And I'll explain it further. Q, when you press Q, you can drop feathers with every auto attack after you press Q. Same thing with W. So yeah, you get lots of.
What do these feathers do, Pone?
They do damage. Lots of damage.
Really?
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
You want to talk about Vayne? So Vayne,
not really.
She gets sick, she could press
R. I don't
R.
care about Vayne.
If you guys are watching the YouTube VOD, by the way, you're missing out. You need to go back about, what are we, 2 months now? Month and a half maybe, and go listen to all of the Punchinello intros to the podcast. We do specific intros for the MP3 that don't show on the YouTube VOD. Go back and listen to the last episode 451, as the Sheen procs. You will enjoy it.
Yeah, we're turning into a soap opera podcast. We're slowly phasing out the League of Legends. We're gonna go more into the drama world. So we hope you guys are gonna be receptive to that. It's a big change for us.
Need to hire better writers if we're gonna do that well, or even poorly. Like
it's a work in progress.
It's so bad you can't call it.
That's why it's good. People want to know. People want to know what happens next. Will we find
I
out?
mean,
I want to know who the father is.
Was there more as the Sheen?
Yeah, I
procs?
want to know. It's only been one episode, right?
Yeah, people would have listened. Okay, people are gonna listen to this show and know as I ask because I don't know what the intro is. For those of you out there, he doesn't do the intro until after the show, so I don't hear it till the next day. Is there more, or was there more as the Sheen procs at the beginning of this episode? Are you doing as the Sheen procs tonight for an intro?
Are you
cannot
asking him
confirm
to
or
tell you
deny.
what the future is? Like, that's what it sounds like you're trying to do.
Cannot remember.
I want to know what Punch's landscape or his timeline is here with intros because they have.
I've got it scheduled whole out for the rest of the year. Don't worry about it.
Excellent.
He's a dictator.
That's all
He's
I
the
wanted
only
to
one
hear.
who's in charge of this.
Let's talk about
You created
items.
a monster bone.
Yes, I did, and you know what? I'm okay with that. Abyssal Mask got changed in this patch. Previously, it built out a Spectre's Cowl Negatron Cloak, 880 gold. It was 2,800 gold total. It has been changed now to Catalyst of Aeons Negatron Cloak, 1080 gold. It is now 2,900 gold total, so it takes an extra 100 gold to purchase if you didn't catch that. It no longer gives 100% base health regeneration. However, that max health has gone up to 350 from 300. Now has mana on it with 300. Magic resist down to 55 from 65. And his unique passive Eternity, 15% of damage taken from champions is gained as mana. Spending mana restores 20% of the cost as health, up to 25 per spellcast.
Whoa,
So,
we just changed Catalyst. Cool.
From
I
a
don't
from
feel
a
like
pure
the
gold
trade-off-
efficiency standpoint, it's pretty much the same. It just depends on whether or not you can use the mana, and whether or not your champion would prefer the health regen instead of the mana. And so if you could use the mana, it's the same gold efficiency, and you get an extra passive.
Who's spending mana fast enough to gain 20% of the cost as health? Ooh, man, my laundry just went off. So if you're spending an ability that costs 100, you're getting 20 health back on an ability cost. Is that correct?
What's Galio's mana cost like?
So
I mean, if you're, it's the same thing as Rod. It's the same thing as GLP. It's Catalyst. Like Catalyst does well in lane, and they're giving something that you can use in lane to just kind of.
Who's upgrading this? Is this like a weird rise item? Like who's buying this?
I don't know.
Who's,
But I mean,
who's
you're
buying an
getting-
item that gives you health, mana, magic resist, and
Not Garen.
gives you health back when you're using
Yeah, not
abilities? Like the
Garen.
only people that are spamming abilities fast enough to gain the extra health from this is what, like Cass or Rise or somebody. Like I don't
So
know
I mean,
who's
you're
buying this
still
item.
gaining the old passive. I mean, you're still gaining the extra magic damage done to no heroes. They're just adding a new passive onto this, so it's not like they're replacing that one with this one, and this is a worse passive. I feel like you're looking a gift horse in the mouth here. Like they're just giving you
No.
this passive.
Yeah, they did. It's just like a straight buff to the item,
Sure.
and like tanks who have mana who need magic resistance will probably build this.
So I
I
guess-
guess.
Okay.
If they
Nunu?
decide they need it early enough.
Should we ask the better question? Well, when are you going to want to buy this over Spirit Visage?
Well, here, okay.
great
So
Well,
there's so much in like the wording here that they've talked about with the fact that Catalyst is a good laning item. That's not like up for debate, I don't think. And tanks don't have anything that builds out of Catalyst anymore because Righteous Glory doesn't have it. And so they said Abyssal Mask kind of blows right now. This is another problem we have. Why don't we combine the two and make it into an item that somebody could build out of it later? Like it's not like a first rush or anything, but it's saying here's now a tank item to have if you like Catalyst.
I don't see when this item is good or why you would.
They
build this
already
over defense.
had Spirit Visage doing that job, but better. And guess what? Spirit Visage is still doing that job, but better.
Nah, I disagree a little bit.
Except if
Mana.
your team doesn't have, like natural healing, like if your team doesn't have a healer on it, but you have mana, you can heal yourself with this item. Whereas with Spirit Visage, you're kind of relying on healing from other sources if your own character doesn't have any to.
But anybody
take
healing
advantage
themselves
of
would
all
use
the
it.
passives.
Gragas, Maokai, they'd all want Spirit Visage over this because they're healing themselves for more with that passive. Like
I mean, Spirit Visage has 10% CDR on it. I think most
But
tanks
this item
would rather
boosts
have.
damage too. Still though, like this item still has the 10% damage thing, so like you have to throw that.
I think it's good the item's in the game. It's kind of like the Frozen Mallet where maybe it gets used every once in a while and has some effect and does well, but like thanks.
It's
I don't think
the
it's a
same
great
use case
item.
that
I think
had-
it's. I think it's smart design. I think it's a smart design standpoint to try to make things palatable for more people. I don't know that it'll be the right answer, but it's at least a step in the right direction.
If I was a tank and I really wanted to survive forever, I would build both.
I'm glad that you have all that money to be able to do that. Let's talk
Tanks
about
can get it.
Adaptive Helm.
They just farm forever.
Adaptive Helm, which is a really shitty item, by the way. If you didn't know that, the item is trash.
Yep.
The health has been
now,
increased to 350.
Now it's slightly less trash.
Still trash. Because
so there you go.
If you want to find it, go out there and Google. A freak had a tweet a long time ago where he explains it. Where
I found it right here. I mean, it was for Gragas though, but like the break even is like you have to take 7 ball damage from Syndra's ult in order for that item to like somehow be better than Spirit Visage. Basically, it's not that simple of a breakdown, all said and done, and everything. But you have to be hit by the same spell so many times for it to just be better than Spirit Visage. Just because Spirit Visage has more health on it. And you're so infrequently hit by the same spell over and over and over like that.
Boom, done.
It's just not a very good item.
The coin line is underperforming to a pretty significant degree. Go figure. Gold coin reward up to 25 gold. Mana coin reward up to 15% of the missing mana. No Man's Medallion, Talisman Accession, Eye of the Oasis, gold coin reward up to 40 gold with the mana coin reward up to 15% missing mana. Do you know how hard it is to say gold coin reward and then mana coin reward? I don't know about you guys, but that was kind of like a
new warm-up.
I don't believe you.
Try it, Punch.
Gold coin reward.
Now,
mana coin reward.
Now say it while you're doing the podcast and you've been drinking.
Gold coin reward. I don't have a problem here.
Do we have a problem with Agent Coin still? It suffers?
I don't like the mini game. I don't like the way the mini game works. I don't like that you can get zoned out of your money and like that can just be stuff that like things didn't break your way and all of a sudden now you get to sit and watch a coin be there and you really want it but you don't get to get it back and everything. Whereas with both the Relic Shield and the Spell Piece line, like you have total control over how you get that money. Like you get to dictate the circumstances, and with Ancient Coin, the circumstances are just sort of decided arbitrarily. And then you have to like blow position and that type of stuff to go and collect it, and your opponent can see them on the ground. They can take action because you're going to get that coin and everything. Like it's a frustrating mechanic. Most people aren't really paying that close of attention to it. But even last night, Adam, didn't you hear me laughing when we zoned some support off of the coin? And it was just
I don't even notice the coins on the ground ever. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna auto attack you.
I don't think I've seen them. Do they have a red outline if they're from the enemy or something like that?
No, they're still.
Can you tell if
like kind of they're a different palette color. They do have like kind of a reddish hue to them, but
Punch, I don't think they ever made an outline for either because I don't think they expected coin to be bought by 2 players in the same game.
That'd be awesome though if you could collect the enemy's coin. That would be next level.
Great. Oh, that'd be so good.
Strats there.
Let's talk about jungle item mana regeneration, because fuck this coin line, I'm bored. Tracker's Knife, Stalker's Blade, and Skirmisher's Saber. The base mana regen in the jungle has been increased to 225% from 180%. That is a pretty significant buff. Now, they did nerf Runic Echoes down to 15% missing mana rather than 18%, but increasing the total mana regeneration just makes, like I said, all those junglers out there, this levels out the jungle playing field even more. Absolutely levels it out. And does this make Elise better? Yes.
Why?
Cool.
Because you are getting
because she uses mana in the jungle.
So does tons of people. Why Elise?
Because Elise is already really, really good out of the jungle. Like she's not pick ban pro play, but she's basically pick one side pro play, and so you just made her better and more mana efficient as she runs through the jungle.
Okay.
I think this is a pretty significant buff for a lot of those the mana using junglers out there. Warwick,
I think it's
gets better out of it.
I think it's
most of the junglers,
right? Like
I think it's just a buff for the. I think it's a bigger buff for the people who don't build Runic Echoes. Like I think it's going to help them out a lot who want to spam their spells.
Yeah,
as much
that's
as
what they're
possible,
getting at. That's what he's getting at. Like the majority of the champs aren't really building Runic Echoes, but they might have been having mana issues, and now this kind of solves a lot of that.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I don't think Elise is somebody who benefits from it. I think like the people
no,
who
she
are
absolutely benefits from it. That's what I'm saying. Like anybody who's already doing well is going to continue to do well or better. That's with this, and then the people who are doing poor are now being in line, are brought into line with those others that are doing average to just above average, right? Again,
So like Fiddle or
now Fiddle still just fiddlesticks, right? He can't clear jungle.
Zach is really good and everything, so he's a bad example, but he's the one I can think of where like he might drop a few slots just by virtue of other champions being better because of this change, and he doesn't benefit from the mana regen.
Zach gets a buff in this patch, man. Thanks, Bommy.
No, I know. I'm talking about this change specifically. It's not the only change, but like if this was the only change happening, that's the type of thing that we would be talking about here, because there are just a handful that like don't use it. But
that is a fair point. Bomby Cinder getting a change. The total health is down to 200 from 280. The total cost has been decreased by 200 gold, which is a significant amount. And the bonus damage to non-champions is up to 100% from 50%. You have less health, but you get it more quickly, and you clear more quickly when you have it, making any of the junglers that are buying Bomby Cinder automatically better.
Because the clear speed,
which is a lot.
The clear speed,
which is a lot of the champs who are kind of already crowding out the top anyway.
Like Nunu?
fuck
Nunu, Warwick, Zach, Sejuani, Rammus. I mean, these are all well-performing champions who are just getting better.
Yeah, no, Nunu is... Yeah, that's why we say anytime that, like, Nunu is godlike, right? 56%. Going to stay 56%. The enchantment Cinder Hulk, total health down to 325 for 400. It is now jungle item Bomby Cinder, 525 gold. The total cost is down 200 to make up for the change in Bomby Cinder. The bonus health multiplier has been increased to 20%. The base mana regen in the jungle has been increased to 225%. Cinder Hulk is now the go-to jungle item. Absolutely, this item is insanely good.
I don't necessarily agree as much. I still think it's still very good, but I think the fact that you're losing health until you hit 1500 bonus is not as like, I know it's 200 gold less, but 1500 bonus health means that in addition to Cinder Hulk, you need to get essentially 2 items at least to get to that break-even point that you had before. I don't think it's that.
You don't need it.
I don't think that's that big of a deal. What do you mean? The whole point is it's giving you less. I'm saying it's giving you less health till you hit 2 more items past Cinder Hulk than you've had
clearing
before.
More quickly, meaning you're getting up to the laners who could have less items or less health. I mean, you could see that they are in lane longer, and then you are there more quickly than you were previously. They could have less health. They could have less items. They could have the wards could be down more often. Like just increasing jungle clear speed is more important than having bonus life for a jungler.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you finish Cinder Hulk, you're not clearing any quicker than you were before. Again, if you Bomby Cinder, well, you had that item. It is faster than previous.
Shit, 900 gold is so simple. Most champions walk back with 900 gold. Right? Yeah, of course you have to build your Smite'em I guess you don't technically have to build your Smite'em because you buy Bomby Cinder, but still. And Sunfire Cape, the total cost has gone 200 gold. This change.
Wait. I think it's the total cost.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the combined cost. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, they changed Sunfire Cape in this patch where it's Bomby Cinder, Ruby Crystal, Chain Vest. It was just Bomby Cinder and Chain Vest. So you have to pick up that Ruby Crystal as a step item, which kind of sucks. Three build paths.
Sunfire Cape is a pretty bad item right now.
Yeah.
And this makes it worse actually. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I just said, rest in peace, Sunfire, dude. Like it's been pretty bad for a while. It's
been pretty bad since they changed it. And it's going to be extra frustrating because of how good Bomby Cinder is, and like really how good Cinder Hulk ends up being compared to Sunfire Cape. It's just sort of frustrating for the champions that look at that item and think, "Oh, you sound so good, but you're not doing anything that is actually helping me do my job better."
I think the Ruby Crystal makes building into it slightly better than it was before, because you can have, more total stats in your inventory before you complete it. But the completed item is still just so weak. I don't know, I know they want the Sunfire and the Cinder Hulk to be similar, But I feel like by forcing them to have the same passive, I feel like they're holding Sunfire Cape back. I feel like what they need to do is like Sunfire needs to have something that sets it apart because it's more expensive than Cinder Hulk, and it doesn't give the exact same stats, and it doesn't have the bonus health passive. So there's no reason to tie the burn, completely together. They can be slightly unique.
I have to imagine,
especially when they're so willing to do different things with Sheen items. Lichbane, Trinity Force, and Iceborne Gauntlet are all like the Spellblade passive, but they do different they function in different ways. So it's not unheard of for Riot to take that approach. But I totally agree. I think right now Sunfire Cape's just a bad item because it just like it's weak and it's not helping you like you're committing to split pushing, but even then it's like it's not that great.
It's passive compared to the passive on other armor items. It's just not
right.
It's just not worth it.
They're too hesitant though to change it back or change it to even revert it somewhat to its previous build because Sunfire Cape was the go-to tank item that did a lot of damage and cleared waves really quickly, and they don't want that to happen out of top lane because they realize that Sunfire Cape is a top lane item. So I can see why they're being very cautious with doing anything with Sunfire Cape, and
which is why I agree with what Todd said. They should add some sort of something unique to it. Something, I don't know, maybe a second passive, or I don't know, change how the aura works, make it do something else. I have something different for this item. You can't just buff the damage on the aura because, like you said, that would just make the split pushing tanks, i.e. Shen, even stronger, like they were before when Sunfire was really good.
But then they shouldn't just leave it bad forever, so they need to just do something with it.
They left Frozen Mallet bad forever.
Yeah, but there was like game health reasons that outside of like, and they were all like, "Oh, we're an indie company" and all that, all their excuses.
Yeah, Riot, the indie company. It's like, let's take Blizzard, the indie company. Rift Herald, by the way, the reward for total gold is now up to 100 for the person who kills it from 25 because you should get more gold for killing Rift Herald. Riot says. So,
sweet.
Go take Rift Herald, people. I see too many people ignore it. A lot of junglers ignore it. Hell, I even ignored it when I played jungle, so I understand why. But stop ignoring Rift Herald.
Feels like Rift Herald's in a good spot now, as in it's actually worthwhile to take, and it's a consolation prize if you lose Dragon. It's almost like they accomplished what they sought out with this.
I like it. I like Rift Herald a lot. I hate playing against it.
Yeah, it's like you gotta play around. I mean, it's a tower. Like it's almost always a tower.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely a tower. That's even like all the pros have used it, right? We speculated how people could use it, but pros are using it to take mid tower to bust something open. You get one out of it, but the best is when you can use it. I don't know if you guys saw the Skara replay where the Bard ulted the tower so they could take it down, and then Rift Herald charged the next tower without losing life, so they busted the base open. Like, people are actually learning how to play around Rift Herald and use it to their advantage. And I saw it in a game we played the other night where they almost busted open our base and took out 2 towers with it. I love the item. I love that there's some level of strategy people are using it with it. So props to Riot for making Rift Herald a very good.
Yeah.
Global.
You did it right.
Golf clap.
You did it.
And that concludes As the Sheen Procs episode number 2.
Don't steal his line.
What if we changed the name? What if we changed that name and just like had a new RSS feed forever? And like, well, starting over, season 2.
A long time ago when I was doing the Trinity Force podcast, as I've always been doing, I did say that we were doing seasons. And then I was like, hey, guys, welcome to season 2 or season 3 of Trinity Force podcast. And for some reason that never stuck. Probably because I forgot that I was doing it a year later or 6 months later or whatever it was.
I mean, maybe we'll do that when you're gone. It'll be season 2.
And that was before I joined, and I joined around like 80-something.
Don't ask me. I don't remember. It's too far back to remember. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the podcast, right? That's patch 7.13.
That was a great podcast.
Just trying to think. I was trying to think if there's anything else out there. No, just go visit our sponsors, Buddha Boxers. Those guys are great. Go visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/T-Force Network. Brand is out. It's a little janky, but it still works and gets the point across. Not across. I don't know. But yeah, Brand's out there. We'll have Oriana and Tarek hopefully sometime.
Yeah, Tarek should be recording tomorrow night. And then I'm still waiting to hear back from Ori, but I'd love to do it this weekend because I want to learn how to play her better.
I will poke Kidney and tell him to do it.
Yeah. I'll send another email.
One last thing, this is probably going to go out too late for anybody to get out there, but if by like Sunday afternoon you guys can accomplish this, it'd be great. I am looking for bronze and silver replays. It doesn't have to be a win. It doesn't have to be a loss. It does not matter what game it is. Just take the very last game that you played in bronze or silver and send it to feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. I am not doing a replay review. What you are doing by sending me the replay is that you are giving me permission to use it in a video. I will turn nameplates off in the game. I will not call you out for your plays, and I will not, I'm not here to publicly shame anybody. I have this idea that I think bronze players are playing a certain way, and I want to see it by looking at a bunch of replays so that I can try to correct it. So send me your replays so I can see if my theory is correct. If it's not, then you just sent me a replay and I just wasted my time. But yeah, send it to me. Feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com.
He won't laugh at you publicly. That's the key.
I laugh at Randherd every single fucking day, and I tell Dom about it every single time. So it's fine, right? Like he gives me enough kicks.
Yeah, he'll laugh at you guys in Slack, and then we'll laugh at you. But publicly, you'll be safe.
Right, publicly. I'm not going to put it out there. So, guys, that's it. That's the podcast. That's patch 7.13. Go out, play, enjoy. Let us know what you guys find that's OP, what's not, and what we were right or wrong about. Guys, we will be back on Monday with a new episode. Actually, I was going to say we might be taking Monday off. We'll be back next week with an episode. Guys, we'll see you. Peace.
Later.
Bye, guys.